to Facebook. It should link any second. There we go. Go live. Update that one real quick. Gonna mute everything, otherwise we're gonna get a lot of feedback here.
Oh. There it is. I knew I had it. Of course, like I said, it was all the way at the bottom.
Well, I know the YouTube chat works in here because Jerry texted it last night. So pull the Facebook one back up real quick, just in case.
There we go.
All right. So, as promised, Our Guard podcast is back, guys. I'm Mark, class of 98. Michael with me again, class of 99. And also joining us is my best friend, who I have known for, I have lost track how many years. My best friend Nick is also with us. I invited Nick to get an outsider's opinion on Carson Long. Basically, what it was like for him, other than he's going to tell you a lie, other than what it was like for him, what his best friend going away to military school, and what he saw or any changes he saw, stuff like that. So we figured it might be a nice idea to get an outsider's opinion. And hopefully Jerry Foltz should also be joining us here shortly. As always, I'll leave these videos up on Facebook and YouTube for those that cannot watch live. You guys can watch this later. You can still comment. Feel free to comment. If you guys have comments or questions, reach out to us. We always welcome that. But other than that, welcome. Start off with that, Nick. So what? I don't even remember when. Did I tell you I was going, or did I just go and you found out? I don't even remember. Is he there?
Oh, I kind of think. I think you told me like a week or two before school started that you were going to military school.
I couldn't remember. I thought I
I
did.
know I didn't know that. I know I didn't know that summer. Like it wasn't known like, oh, this is like you're not going to be around during the school year.
Yeah, I
So it
don't
was
think
like shortly before you left that like we were told.
I want to say it was July or August. I want to say July for some reason that we went up and we did the tour, the campus tour. Obviously, everybody took. As you guys heard, when we were up there the other week live, I was one of the first ones to walk on the new basketball floor. But I want to say it was July that we were up there. So yeah, I want to see, you might be right. It was like a week or two before I left that I told you. That was so long ago. But what was it like for you? I mean, like, what changes did you see, obviously, in me, other than obviously better grades and stuff like that? But like, did you notice anything from before, say, 95? I think it was 95 was my first year, to 98 graduating. I mean, obviously, you saw me in the summertime.
God, you want me to remember specifics?
I'm putting them on the spot.
Well,
this is payback for. So Nick and I talk all day long on the phone. This is payback for all the times he's making fun of me.
I mean, it definitely matured you. You were definitely different coming back.
Well,
How do I say? I guess you weren't the same. Yeah, like you definitely weren't the same goofball. I guess you were a little different.
I think it was a little more of the seriousness came out in me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that changed after I graduated.
No, you just got a little bit more serious, and then you like, oh, I'm still gonna be me.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about before, guys. It definitely, everybody had something that they took from that school, whether it be social skills, better grades, college prep. I mean, obviously, like we've talked to guys in chat during our podcast, everybody took something from that school. at least something positive. I mean, obviously, we all had a lot of negatives too, but it definitely changed people. I think for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a prime example. I mean, if you'd asked me back in 1998, and Merrick, you and I have talked about this before. I remember standing in the hallways at attention. Somebody stole something. Everybody come out, stand at attention. You guys remember that standing there for
Oh
3
yeah.
4 hours.
Oh yeah.
And you'd be standing there, and somebody would come up in the hallway, a visitor, and they'd look at you and say, "I stood in that very spot." I'm 20 years after I graduated. And actually, it's funny because some of the guys that came up in those hallways are probably some of you guys that are listening, like the older guys, the 70s and 60s guys. But
Mm-hmm.
they would sit there and look at you and say, "I stood in that spot. I know what it's like. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you're going to look back at this and you're going to laugh." And you stood there at attention going, "No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not." And now we look back and obviously, yes, we're laughing about it, because we're not standing at attention for 4 hours.
No.
But, everybody took something from that. And where I was going with that is, look at me. I manage our heavy division of our towing company. We have 3 locations. We pretty much, dominate our county with heavy duty towing with the police departments, and I also manage our fleet, maintenance, stuff like that. I mean, if you'd asked me 30 years ago, standing at attention in that hallway, I'd have told you, yeah, there's no way I would have done it. I couldn't run. I wouldn't be able to manage that. I wouldn't be able to handle that. My first job out of school, my first real job out of school, and Nick, you remember, was working at U.S. Airways. I was a manager within 3 to 4 months because of my military school background.
Mm-hmm.
I was a manager. It sucked, but it's because of the skills you learned at the school that helped me progress to that. But yeah, it is funny. Like you look back at that and you're like, yeah, you stood in that hallway and you looked at these people and went, "I'm not going to laugh at this, dude. This sucks." But I mean, I know Merrick, you had some of those experiences. Somebody.
Oh
steals
yeah. Well,
something,
I
waiting at
had
attention.
I had Captain Robinson, and I know there was one night where a couple of the guys decided to do some after taps activities, and well, not only did they wake up Captain Rob while they were doing said activities, but they also woke up his daughters who were visiting that weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah. We were in the classroom at dark 30 in the morning getting our buttholes reamed for like 2.5, 3 hours.
See, this is
That
the kind of
sucked.
stuff, this is the kind of stuff, Nick, that you didn't miss.
No. No.
And the one thing that I hated, I'm going to touch on that for a minute. So the one thing that I hated was you stood in a line, 20, 30 guys standing at attention because one person stole something. And it was always something stupid. It was always something small or something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But you stood there for 2, 3 hours at, like you said, 2 a.m. in the morning, whatever, or somebody did something after TAPS activity. But did you ever notice it was always the squad leaders on up that stood on the other side of that wall? And you know how many times it went through my head, well, what if it's one of them? Like, we're all standing here at attention. What if it was a squad leader that did it?
Right.
You know as well as I do, that wasn't uncommon for them to screw up too. I mean, everybody's had their fair share.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There were some of them that once they got some kind of leadership title that they thought they could become untouchable.
There were quite a few of those.
Mm-hmm. Well, they found out rather quickly that wasn't the case.
Us included.
Well, yeah.
But
I got my fair share of getting called in the old man's office my senior year as drill major.
I still can't believe he had his own bathroom in there. I never knew that.
Yeah.
That was funny. I did get chills walking in there, by the way, guys. When we were up there, 2 weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I kind of got chills walking in that office. I mean, the desk wasn't there, but you still felt that presence.
Mm-hmm. Like started having flashbacks.
Yeah, PTSD, I think they call it.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say though, I mean, walking the campus, I do like that they've kept a lot of stuff original. I mean, I know you guys that are watching on the actual stream, not the so you'll either get a landscape or you get the up and down. If you're looking at the landscape, you can actually see like the Centennial Hall plaque on the building in the background here. That, and of course I get a work call, but he can wait. I'll call them in a minute. That stuff is still there. Not a lot of that has changed. A lot of the Carson Long, how do I say, like the pennants in the gym are still there. So a lot of the gym floor obviously is still the same. So I like that they kept a lot of that original. It kind of makes us feel good that they're respecting the campus in that aspect. So
yeah.
But see what else did we see when we were up there? The board on the field with everybody's name, the what do you call it, the record board, that is
the record board. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I liked it. I definitely liked that they kept that up. That's kind of cool. But yeah, for everybody that knows too, the wall on what's that? The annex,
Yeah.
where everybody carved their names. Sadly to say, is still there, but is extremely faded. It's not as readable as it used to be. So if you guys go up there, if you know where you carved your name, you might find it, but it's very faded. And buildings are old. I mean, you're talking, even 49, 1949, I mean, 20 years from now, you're talking 100-year-old building. But see what else. Trying to think what else to ask Nick, like get an outsider's opinion on. See too. I'm trying to check chats too here, guys.
Shoot, when we would go home for breaks, how long was it before that uniform came off?
You ain't kidding. Oh, you can't, cadets. You can't take it off until you actually get home to your final destination. Yeah, how many guys that coat came off in the car or halfway home? You're like, "Yup, down to the t-shirt."
We'd get down to like the.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see you in a uniform for like a couple of years.
Yeah, it was the first. I would say the first year or two. A little bit after that, once you got into your senior years, you kind of got a little more proud of it. I mean, you kind of wore it with pride. You still didn't want people at home seeing you in it, but you did have a little bit more pride once you raised up into the ranks. At least some of the guys did.
Yeah.
Like I'd wear it to church. Like when we used to go to church, I come home on a weekend, I'd wear it to church. Just a little bit of pride, especially the more stripes and the more ribbons you got. Other than I know we've had the talk of some people that had ribbons whopping over their shoulder down their back. They didn't earn them. It's like I said before, if I'd have known then what I knew now, I'd have called stolen valor on them.
Yeah,
you don't think of it then, but yeah, it was definitely a different lifestyle compared to like Nick going to public schools. Like you said, vacation time. We came home Thanksgiving. I think when we were there, it was almost 2 full weeks around Thanksgiving. We didn't go back until it was like 3rd, 4th, or 5th of December that we would go back. And even then we go back for 2 or 3 weeks and boom, you're coming home for Christmas, so Christmas break was close to just shy of 3 weeks. Cause that was like a little over 2 weeks, depending on when Christmas fell. So, and I always remember the dinner before. So I think we always went home. I don't know, it was a couple days before Christmas Eve, or it was right before Christmas Eve that we always went home. I remember we always did the really nice fancy dinner at Christmas.
Yeah, with the turkey and the stuffing or the steaks and stuff. Yeah.
And they always lit the fire. It was like the only time of year they lit the fireplace. But I remember that. And we had that nice dinner, and that's when like you were getting that big break at Christmas. What the shock was when you came back from Christmas, you had that gloom period of like 2.5 months of nothing.
Yeah, that I remember that, the gloom period.
Always in the dead of winter when it snowed.
Yep.
Let's see here. Like I said, we were talking on campus. I remember blizzard of '96. We had
my God,
we had snowbanks 20 feet. I mean, it'd be nothing. You'd have snowbanks up to second floor windows. It was just insane the amount of snow we got up there. And I wish I had to go through some of my pictures, but I know I have a couple of pictures from that.
Mhm.
That was just an insane snowstorm. But let me.
Yep.
I am going to take a 2 minute break real quick. If you excuse me, I'm going to take a work call for 2 minutes, and I will be right back, and we'll get back into something else.
All right.
I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, work. Work calls. Work never ends.
I heard that.
Yeah, joys of working in a towing industry, guys. Yeah, I think Nick stepped out. So, uh,
That's
but but no, other than that, like I said, I mean, it was nice to see that they kind of kept campus the same. Um, like a lot of the signs are still up. A lot of the buildings haven't changed. They did renovate a lot though.
yeah, they did.
The guys that didn't see, go back into the videos here on the Facebook page. They definitely renovated a lot of the rooms, new floors, new furniture, definitely a couple coats of paint. So they've really done a lot of upgrading, and I think that's nice. I mean, obviously, it wasn't very populated when we were there.
No.
Their downtime or not, I don't know. I mean, there were definitely a few people there, um, but yeah, it wasn't as populated as I think as the last time I was up there. So you figure we're in what, April? April, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think last time it was November when I was up there. probably September, October, November, somewhere around there. It was the New Bloomfield Fair. I remember that.
Yeah.
But
I want to go to that this year, the New Bloomfield Fair, because I was
you
like,
know what?
oh man, if I'd have known.
Sorry, I forgot to text you.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's so
Well,
they
last year for me was a little chaotic anyway, so I probably wouldn't have been able to make it. But
do
that
two
still would have
things.
been cool.
They do the carnival, so that's a week long thing.
Yeah.
I know that's I remember the end of June into I think July 4th. I think Keith said.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so they do the carnival, and then I know they also do the street fair, which is what. Excuse me, bear with me here. I'm going to adjust the screen real quick. Make sure I'm looking at the right stuff. Um, the carnival is actually really cool, or the street fair is really cool. It's kind of like a craft fair mixed in car show. I mean, they do different vendors are there. The fire department brings out, they do a fireman's competition there, which is really cool. So, it definitely, I had definitely had a good time there. I mean, me and my buddy, we spent in obviously everybody knows we've rejoined the firehouse up there, and we go up there on, I try to do one weekend a month up there. I try to base it around the times that those guys are doing stuff to kind of help out them as well. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I really did. I'm trying to figure out if why is this not? Bear with me. There we go. Got it. Changing my blah, blah. Yeah, boring, boring, boring. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why one YouTube's acting up. Let's see real quick. YouTube link. Come on. There we go. Okay. There we go. Wasn't showing for a minute. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we helped them set up on. We went up. I think we went up Friday morning, either Thursday night or Friday morning. We might have went up Thursday night, and I think we helped them all day. Friday, we were helping them set up and move stuff around. And then Saturday, we actually had the event. It was an all-day event. I had my drone up there, got some really cool drone shots. I had the one, and I'm sorry, I forget your name. I know you're on the Facebook page. I'm horrible with names. I had the one lady come up and she recognized me from the podcast, and she goes, "Oh, when you bringing that back?" I'm like, crap, out the ball on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did promise her we'd bring it back. Here we are. But it really threw me off guard. I wasn't expecting, somebody to actually recognize me. And I wasn't even in a Carson Long shirt. I mean, I had my New Bloomfield Firehouse shirt on, and she recognized me from that. So it kind of made me feel good that people actually watch this.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of you guys have been asking us. So like I said, we're here, we're back. We do have a new streamlined, if you want to call it that, software program that we're using. Exit page. Try and gotta love YouTube. Bear with me. Technical, yeah. It's a new program. We're still learning it. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And we're just gonna say that it's playing. But yeah, we have a new program that we're using versus the old way that we did this. Okay. So the old way, we used Discord and we restreamed it to here, and we restreamed it from here to the Facebook and YouTube, and it was very glitchy. We now use Restream, has a live studio. It's everything on one page. Supposedly we get the chat on the same, the chat for YouTube and Facebook on this page. And the reason we stream to both, just for the guys that don't know, there's a lot of people that either don't have Facebook or are not Carson Long affiliated that can't get on the Facebook page. So we created the YouTube page so that everybody outside of the school was able to watch it. Remove this real quick. Remove. That might make you bigger. Yeah, there we go. That's one. Remove. That's two. But that way these other people can watch it. They can kind of hear the stories of our school and what went on. Is Nick back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. Now Nick's back.
Yay.
But so yeah, everybody was asking, well, why don't you just put it on the Facebook page? Well, that's why. So a lot of people that don't have access to the Facebook page can watch it on YouTube. So if anybody on Facebook has a YouTube, subscribe. It's under Our Guard Podcast. hit the little subscribe button. You'll get the notifications when we're live. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, the street fair was cool. It's an all day event. They do movies at night. Um, and like I said, the fireman competition was there. That was pretty cool to watch and see. Um, but it's a big event. So I think that is in. I will have to double check with Keith. I want to say September. I think it's actually Fireman's Weekend in New Jersey. I think it's the same weekend, but I'm not positive.
I feel like that's what you told me because you said you wanted to
Yeah,
bring the truck out there and you also wanted to do something in Jersey with the truck.
yeah, I think that's what it was. Well, I wanted to take so those that don't know, I own my fire department's old fire truck. Got it off of them. We've had it 2 years now. So I do a lot of events with it, a lot of fire department events with it. I actually have one Saturday that we're going to right over the bridge in Jersey. But so every year they do the big event in Harrisburg. It's called Pump Primers. They take all these antique trucks, they pump the water on the river. It's a really cool event. I'd like to take my truck up there, but it's the tires are a little older, and I'm really don't feel like having a blowout on my way to Harrisburg. So I'm kind of up in the air on that one. Not that I don't know a tow truck guy that can't come get it, but I just don't want to take that chance. So I'm up in the air on that. But the fact that I have a place out there that I can keep it and everything is kind of a bonus. But yeah, no, this September event's cool. So if anybody's ever free, in September, come out for the street fair. It's a really cool event. It brings the town together. So, but what else here, Mike? Let's do it you
Who, me?
other than working.
Oh well. I guess on a personal note, yesterday, I made the mistake of taking my daughter and her friend shopping at the mall. I don't know why I
Mall
decided
trip.
to. Yeah, the mall trip.
So by the way, I'm gonna touch on that real quick. So when we were out there, I stopped at the one mall, and I don't remember which one it was. It's right off of what's that, 83 or 81, whatever that
80.
one
Yeah,
streets.
one of those. Yeah.
And it was open, but I think there was like two stores in the whole mall.
I was going to say there's still malls. They still
Yeah, right.
exist.
Yeah, the ones around us aren't even around. You got one Springfield. Well, we have King of Prussia, which if I'm not mistaken, a couple of the school trips did go to King of Prussia Mall.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
I think the senior trip that went to Philadelphia, they would
Mhm.
stop at King of Prussia Mall. Because I think when we did it, my parents actually met me up there, and I was able to walk the mall with my mom and dad because we were so close. I mean, we're 20 minutes from King of Prussia from here.
Mhm.
But yeah, I remember that one. But yeah, I mean, it was completely empty. There was only like two stores in there. I was shocked. It's the
Yeah,
modern day.
well, I mean, we have a small mall down here near me, but and there's store, but it's not busy like it used to be.
We have Springfield Mall, which is in our county, um, two levels. But I mean, there's stores, but it's not what it used to be.
Mm-mm.
The big one down the street from me, they closed that years ago, tore it down. Now they built like an outdoor shopping center. And then obviously we have King of Prussia and what's that, Nick Christiana Mall, right?
Yeah,
Christiana
Christiana
Mall.
Mall. Yeah.
You have the Concord Hallway, which is basically now what McDade Mall used to be.
Yeah, that was. I remember I said something today about that. I read that article today that it's not what it used to be.
No,
Yeah.
They
it's
lost a
got
lot of
them
stores.
generic stores in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, it makes you wonder. Like the military schools now. I mean, you don't get to do the mall trips because everything's done online. I
Yep.
mean, my grandfather said, Nick, you remember my grandfather said that years and years ago. He said this internet is going to be the destruction of the modern day. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, everything's bought online. And he said, my grandfather Clark used to say that. He said, everything's bought online. Everybody's getting stuff online. And that was before Amazon. Now you have Amazon,
Mhm.
which, I mean, completely destroyed the market. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
my computer desk here that I'm on right now, literally ordered it Saturday, came Sunday, an hour later, I had it together. I mean, it's completely changed how people shop. And that's what's killing the mall industry.
Well, heck, are there even any military schools around anymore? Because that was the other thing we talked about a couple weekends ago. Because
There was
Valley Forge is closed now.
Valley Forge is done. There was the one Mark Morgan went to in
Oh yeah,
down south. I think it was. I don't remember the name of it.
yeah.
Think
That was
that's
wasn't it
still
down
around.
like Alabama or something like that?
I want to say like down that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember the name of it. Southern Preparatory, I think it was. You know what?
I don't remember.
I want to say that's it. I think it's Southern. Yeah, Southern Preparatory Academy. I'm pretty sure that was it. And according to this, they're still there. So, but yeah, not like there used to be. I mean, Valley Forge was a big name. Our school, as small as it was a big name. I mean, even in Harrisburg area, what was the other one? We used to do the drill competitions at Fort Indian Town Gap. There was 5 or 6 of us schools up there.
Mhm.
Now I know a lot of those were like Nick, you would know what I'm talking about. Like Sun Valley has the ROTC program or did.
Yeah.
But that's a 1 or 2 hours after school activity. It wasn't like us or Valley Forge. So I know a couple of the schools that we did the drill comps with, that's what they were. They were like, this is an after school activity kind of a thing. It wasn't like us where we lived it. It was 24/7. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, I don't know how many are actually left in the U.S. I mean, the numbers got to be
I'm on
low.
Google right now, and there's not many.
Nick loves Google, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all we do all day. Is we start talking about like earlier.
Well, I
We were
know.
talking
Okay, so I remember there was one called Fishburne Military Academy,
I don't remember that one.
and then there was another one.
You got Fork Union. That's
Yeah.
apparently that's still active. This one's actually saying Valley Forge is still open, but they're closed.
I thought they were done. Yeah.
And then you have the Missouri Military Academy in New Mexico. I don't know why they would name it Missouri in New Mexico.
Who knows?
I'm not asking questions.
Yeah. So
But
Valley
there's not
Forge.
many of them left.
All right. So Valley Forge closing grades 7 to 11, ending in November 2025, and the final senior class graduating May 26th. So they're still there until next month. So
Okay.
And then they'll be officially closed.
class, yeah.
Yeah.
So they are still there. Chris finally answered me, by the way. So he is still alive. He's still around.
Now,
Yeah. All
Shoot,
day.
the only military schools that I know of are just the college ones, which are what? The Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, and West Point.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I said. I mean, like the boarding school per se, like we had, it's not there anymore. And like we discussed before, tuition, you're talking 98 was 10 grand, give or take, to closing to 30 grand, and some of these other schools aren't much better. Nobody can afford that. It's not like it was back in the day.
No, it wasn't.
Guys you just can't afford that. So, trying to think. I don't remember what the other schools were. There was one I remember their uniforms. I remember the Canadian drill team that came down and visited. That was
Yeah, I remember them too. They had those great big giant belt buckles.
Flag party. They called it the flag party.
Yeah.
They were really good though. You got to give them credit. They were
They were really good.
Somewhere I have that VHS tape. I'll have to dig it out. I have the when we were at Indian Town Gap and they were visiting. But they were very impressive how they did things.
Yep.
the fact that you just referenced the VHS tape.
Yeah, right. Our age.
Yeah.
Now it's like you can't even say DVD anymore.
Actually,
DVD, and the young generation's like, "What's a DVD?" I have YouTube.
I had a guy in the gym ask that to somebody today. Hey, do you have a DVD player? I'll bring you the DVD to watch. He's like, no, I don't have one of them. That's when I realized we're in a whole new age now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. And I kind of wonder though, like, had we survived, our school survived, with the modern age, I think we touched base before about the cell phones. There were guys that were thrown out of school for having a cell phone versus the later years where they had them, but they weren't allowed to carry them during class hours, stuff like that. Like they had policies, which to me takes away from a lot of the school, because you're communicating with that outside world.
Remember the payphones in the middle of the hallway?
Well, yeah, like we said before, nobody
I remember
knows.
them.
You could sit here right now and say to somebody, yo, I need a stamp. And people just look at you and they're like, okay. Like you don't know the stress and the anxiety that you would get on a Sunday night looking for a stamp.
Yep. During Mother's Hour. Yep.
Exactly. Or you were like scribbling a letter real quick and shoving it in an envelope before the building officer read that you actually wrote a letter. I mean, there were times like my dad used to question me. He's like, why are you sending home a test that you took? Well, I had to put something in the envelope. Like there were times we did that. Like, so for the people that don't know, every Sunday night, and I don't know if you knew this, Nick, every Sunday night we had to write a letter home to our family.
Yep.
We had to sit in the classroom for an hour and write a letter. Ain't nobody sitting there writing out a letter. We all sat there and were drawing or playing a game or whatever, and you could not leave that room until your letter was done and completed. So there'd be times we'd sit there and shove test papers, or we'd shove something just an empty piece of paper in the envelope with scribbling on it, so that if the building officer held it up to the light and looked through it, he just saw something on the letter. But as long as you handed him an envelope that was sealed with a stamp on it, your home address, they didn't question it.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, now some of the buildings, I know they were a little more strict on that, but like I said, it was the anxiety of looking for a stamp at 7:00 on a Sunday night because you didn't want to sit in that classroom. You just wanted to go back to your room and relax.
Yep.
That was so funny. But it makes you wonder, like with modern age, emails. I mean, I think at one point I remember one of the officers saying, "Oh, we make them email their parents or something like that." Which, okay, I can see that, but I mean, Amazon, like how would that have worked with the school? I mean, you got these guys that may have had a credit card ordering stuff on Amazon. I could see it being a lot easier ordering. Like, I mean, how many times we sat there, your trunk was full of snacks. You didn't keep stuff in your trunk. You kept your snacks and your sodas in the trunk because you didn't want nobody else getting to it. So you kept it in there with a lock on it.
Exactly.
So I could see that being a lot easier. Guys would be ordering stuff on Amazon and, for their snacks and cookies and drinks and stuff. But, like Paul just said, discipline, that's a big thing that changed, with technology, that the discipline was out the window. So, but yeah, it's not what it used to be.
No, it ain't.
Trying to see.
It sure ain't.
I lost Facebook. There's Facebook. Okay. Just want to make sure we still had it up. But, well, I don't want to cut this one short, but I got to go to work, which is fine because it's a little overtime for me. But we will definitely try to get this going again, maybe once a week, something like that. We'll shoot for weekends. I know a lot more guys are around on the weekends. Try to get a couple more guys in, and as like I said, we have a new system here, guys. So if anybody wants to join or hop in the podcast, just shoot me a message, or shoot something in the chat. It's literally as easy. We send you a link. You click on the link, you type your name in, and you're in the chat like that. So if guys want to hop in, want to put your stories out there, whatever you guys want to talk about, school related, not school related, that's what we're here for. Even outsider opinions. Like I said, I had Nick come in for an outsider opinion. If some of you guys that, residents in New Bloomfield or staff, friends of alumni, if you guys want to come in, we'd be happy to hear your stories and hear what you have to say. So, but other than that, I'm going to head out and go do a job real quick for work and pull a little overtime. But guys, all be safe out there. And we'll try and touch base maybe next week.
All right. See you later, brother. Be safe out there.
Got it, man. Always. You know me.